How rattled was the dressing room were you to see Steve go down? Like, what was your first reaction?
Yeah, you never like seeing your players get hit like that. No doubt about that. There's obviously some pretty rough memories of a blow like that. So, yeah, there's no fun in it.
And what about just the immediate aftermath? What was sort of, like obviously he went and did the test, but when he came back to the dressing room, what was the chat like there?
Well, actually, there's a lot of chat. All of a sudden, the concussion rule comes in. So probably the initial bit when we make sure he's okay, and we saw him in the medical room, and he was, he was a bit rattled, but he wasn't too bad. Then you start thinking about the professional side of it, who's going to be the replacement and all that sort of stuff. But then as time progressed, he went through all the concussion protocols, and he seemed to be coming up okay. So. He passed all that, then he came back in the change room. He had a bit of a smile on his face. He was more worried about his arm, actually. His arm was sore. Thankfully, that's been cleared. He's had an X-ray. That's why I wasn't fielding this afternoon, because he had to have an X-ray. He went to the hospital and had an X-ray on his arm. So that's all clear. I'm sure he'll be very sore tomorrow, his arm and his neck. But he was in good spirits, and we're very fortunate in Australia. Well, I think we've led the way in the concussion or the push for the concussion substitutes. So we've lived through it for a couple of years in our domestic system. We've got excellent medical. We've got a brilliant doctor who's helped lead the way in it. He happens to be here as well. So he passed all the testing, and that's why he came back out.
I just wonder, how is Steve now when you say he's going to be sore and stuff tomorrow? What further part will he take in the match, and do you have any lingering concerns ongoing with the short turnaround of the next game?
Oh, no, he'll have another, as is the protocol, he'll have another test in the morning, so there's no residual concussion, but he'll have that test, and I suspect he'll play the game out now.
Justin, your bowlers are good in a decent position at the close of play today, going into the last day. But there was 2 reviews that would have been given out had you gone upstairs. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh. Yeah, we missed a few in the first test as well. We talked about it. We talked about how we can get better at it, and we missed a couple today. So we're aware of it. Obviously, the whole world's aware of it, or anyone who watches the game of cricket's aware of it now, because it's right there. So it's frustrating. There's no doubt about that. It can change a game, it can change a session, it can change a test match, it could change a series. So we're aware of it, and we need to get better at it.
And just your kind of thoughts on the overall state of the game as it goes into play 5?
My thoughts are that this is why we love Test cricket so much. I mean, who would have thought? We're playing at Lords. We've lost nearly a couple of days to rain, and it's absolutely game on tomorrow. So we probably went searching a little bit after getting off to a great start today. We went searching a little bit on this wicket. It's tough to bat on, which I don't mind. And it's going to be a great day's Test cricket tomorrow. I guess the only issue is there's only one day left in it. So there's lots of scenarios that can play out here. But it's game on, I reckon.
Andrew, Dan, and Pete. Andrew?
Justin, you talked recently about sort of the idea of getting bowlers into their 4th spells and tiring them out. So when you see Jofra charging in the 76th over in his 4th spell, producing that sort of spell, does that sort of blow plans out of the water, or what do you make of that sort of ability to ramp it up after overs in the legs?
Oh, I've got massive admiration for Jofra. I said in the press conference I got a bit misconstrued by some. I think he's an unbelievable athlete. I think he's an incredibly skillful bowler. But I did say, like all bowlers, it's really hard work. To bat Test cricket's really hard. I mean, you bowl 30 overs. It doesn't matter if you're Jofra Archer or Pat Cummins or Josh Hazlewood or James Anderson or Rabada, or it doesn't matter. It's hard work, and that was my point before the game. But his endurance was outstanding today, his skill, his pace, and that's what's so exciting about watching Test cricket. So what an athlete, what a great player to have to promote this Test cricket. So, yeah, my admiration's probably a little bit more than it was before, but I've had great admiration for him because we know how skillful he is. And to bowl 29 overs today, what a great effort. Time will tell whether it has an impact. We hope it does. like we do with all the England bowlers, and like England would be hoping it has an impact on our bowlers. That's the game. But he was brilliant today. Yeah, great respect for what he did today.
Justin, there's obviously it was a pretty, with what happened with Steve, it would have been a pretty draining day, but also, you know, a great and dramatic day of Test cricket for everyone to watch. Do you sort of balance your, you know, being in the moment of the game with, I suppose, frustration maybe about drop catches or, you know, as you say, searching for wickets? Yeah,
that's the game. That's Test cricket, though, and there's always going to be tension in Test cricket. So, and with tension comes mistakes. We've been pretty good throughout this series. I thought we've caught really well for a long time now. We've missed a few this series. This Test match. We're just going to make sure we grab them tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be 6 more opportunities that come. We'll make sure we're ready for those opportunities, and then if that does happen, and we've got a chance to have the run chase, we're to stay nice and calm. Hopefully, depending on how much time, we'll stay nice and calm. Very fast outfield, great value for your shots, and it's going to be hopefully a great run chase if we can take those 6 wickets.
Better than Ali.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, you just relax. No, there are better.
Justin, just how much has Test cricket changed from your time to now in terms of how people react to being hit by balls like that? Because the camera kept panning towards Steve Waugh and you guys, and has it changed a lot? Like, were guys reacting differently 10 years ago when someone got hit, especially like that?
Well, I think the very fact now we've got a concussion substitute, that suggests that it's changed a fair bit. But concussion's still concussion. When you get hit, whether it was 30 years ago, body line, it's still it's still the same outcome. But now it's very topical, and that's why the rules have changed. So today was an ugly incident. Thankfully, Steve's come through it okay, and hopefully he will continue to have a great series, because he got another 92 today. What an innings, what a player. And, you know, great courage as well that he came back out.
Justin, even though Steve did pass all the tests, was there not still part of you that was surprised to see him go back out there? Because I mean, there was clearly surprise around the ground to see him re-emerge as the next man in 45 minutes after it happened.
Yeah, I think because he was hit in the neck and not in the helmet or in the head, maybe that had a bit of an impact. It's like getting a soft tissue injury. He got hit on the arm as well, and he came out, you know, a little while before. So, and that was hit on the arm, but he got hit on the neck. So, but I was actually surprised how as soon as he got up in the medical room, he was like, "No, I'm going okay." And then he had the concussion testing that he goes through, and the doctor came through and said, he's passed all that and he's pretty good. By the time he walked back in the dressing room, he just couldn't wait to get back out there again. So, and literally he's going, I say, "Mate, are you sure you're okay?" These are like my sons, right? So you're never going to put them in harm's way, even though you're always in harm's way with Test cricket. But he was going, "Mate, let's get out there. I can't get up on the honour board unless I'm out batting." And he was just, and that's what he says, that's what he thinks. And he was determined. All that he was worried about was that he wasn't going to be able to play his forward defence because it was hurting with his top hand grip. That's all he was worried about. So, you know, we can look into it, but honestly, he wouldn't have gone out there unless we thought, and we asked him over and over. I asked him privately, asked him in behind closed doors 2 or 3 times. I asked him in front of the group, and he just goes, all good, coach. I'm ready to go. And what else do you do? The medicos cleared him. He wanted to get out there. We were looking after him, and he said, I'm ready to go. My arm's a bit sore. So that's why he went out there.
Justin, just sorry again, I'll submit Steve, but a lot of talk about how you get him out. Do you think next time he comes in to face Jofra and he's bowling quick and he's bowling short, the memory of what happened today will maybe creep into his head and have him second-guessing himself, perhaps?
I can only go from experience. When you get hit, it's always in the back of your mind, no doubt. Every batter, any batsman who tells you it's not, it's a liar. So, yes, I'm sure. But he will also, the sort of person that will do everything from now until the next time he bats, whether it's mentally, whether it's visualising, whether it's practising, to be right. I mean, he loves batting. We saw that masterclass the other. When it came, he just loves batting, and no one's going to stop him No one's going to stop him batting. So he'll practice it, he'll work it out, and hopefully he'll get back into it. The fact he came out and batted today again, he'll be right to go.
Two more gentlemen there with the glasses and Simon then. Can you have the microphone to the gentleman with the glasses?
Hi, Justin. You're talking about how much you want to protect the players and how much you care about them. I'm just wondering if you think it's time for neck guards to be mandatory on helmets?
Yeah, very good question. I actually didn't realise, it might be my error, but I didn't realise they weren't mandatory till today. And then I think Steve wrote in his book, didn't he? He just doesn't feel comfortable. He's got all these little idiosyncrasies that everyone's talking about. He doesn't like having shoelaces that he can see. He doesn't like his shoes being dirty. He doesn't like... So it's the same, he just doesn't feel right. So I'm sure after today it'll get talked about again. I know they came in after the tragedy of Husey. So I'm sure it'll get talked about, and he might rethink it now after seeing what happened today, but you'd have to ask him that. At the moment the players have a choice, and I wouldn't be surprised if they become mandatory in the future.
That was my question. Does anyone want one more? Wait for the microphone, please, Rob.
What about the boos, Justin? I don't know if you heard it, but there were some fans who booed Steve after he, retired hurt, and then when he came back out. What's your reaction to that?
What can I say? Whatever I say. I've spoken enough about the boos. There's nothing we can do about the boos. I also saw a lot of people. I think people are showing great admiration for Steve Smith from the day, when he arrived in England to now. There was also a lot of people standing applauding him. So there's a few people who might have been doing that, but nothing we can do about that.